Welcome back to Wi-Fi Kids to episode 24.
In this episode, we're going to be talking about if it's better to mount an AP like this on a ceiling or on a wall like this.
But which one is better?
To help you understand, let's use this image. So, you can see that it's like a sprinkler system. And on the right, you see if you mount the sprinkler on the ceiling, it gets a wider coverage and the water reaches all the grass. But if you mount it on a wall, it doesn't get the same coverage and only mounts some of the water. To show you a better example, let's use this design tool we used before called Ekahu AI Pro. So you can see now, here's our floor design. And let's just show you this AP here, which is the Cisco AP 3702i access point. And if we just place it somewhere here, if we click on the access point, you can see that it is mounted onto the ceiling right now. And if we just show you the antenna, you can see that it's mounted on the ceiling horizontally like that. And this is the signal. And the red signal is where the signal is actually the strongest. So if we go directly below it, we can see that it's green here. And that so that actually means it's like a donut shape, and it goes in a 360-degree area radius. And when an AP emits strong signal in 360 degrees, it's called an omnidirectional AP. So with an omnidirectional AP, if you mount it to a ceiling, right underneath it, it's actually green. So it's sort of like a donut shape. And that means that if you're directly under an AP, you don't actually get the best signal. It's better to actually go a bit away from the AP to get the better signal. So now you can see it looks like this when it's onto a ceiling, but let's take a look at when it's actually mounted to a wall. So we can change it here to wall mounted, and you can see that now it has less coverage over here. And if we actually change the floor, it covers the floor as well. So we don't want APs to cover from multiple floors, because if you move floors, you'll be connected to the same access point. And then it gets too crowded and less far away, so the signal becomes lower. So as you can see, the ceiling, the height is at 2.4 for when it's mounted onto a ceiling.
But why is that 2.4?
Well, because it's an average amount for a height of a ceiling is 2.4 meters. But have you seen places like this before?
Yeah, it's sort of like a warehouse.
Exactly. Does this look like it would be 2.4 meters tall?
I don't think so.
No, it's actually way bigger than that. Around 10 meters-ish. And so, do you know what would happen if we put an omnidirectional AP on the top of the ceiling? Would the coverage of the 360-degree circle be bigger, or would it be smaller?
I don't know.
Well, why don't you show us with this light here?
Yeah.
Alright, so
if we just turn the slide.
So we have a light and a black paper, and the light is like the signal of an ape.
If we put it really close, then the signal goes to one part, but it's really good. But if we go really far, then
So when it was smaller, you can see that the coverage of the light is small as well. But when she moves the light away, the circle gets bigger, which is what happens in warehouses as well. Because the ceiling is taller and the AP is further away, the circle of the omnidirectional AP is bigger. But you can see that there's these warehouse racks here. And when you put an omnidirectional AP at the top, it doesn't focus the energy just to the aisle. And it tries to cover that bigger amount of space that we talked about before. But because these racks here, these warehouse racks, they don't allow it because they have attenuation, which we talked about before. So, in these cases, we have a different type of access point, a different type of antenna that focuses signal to a direct point, and it's called a directional access point. So if we go back to that Ekahoot AI Tool Pro, alright. So now, if we change the access point, we can get a directional access point here. So now we have, this is a directional access point. So we go here, we will change this to 10 meters because of what we talked about with the warehouse. And now you can, it's ceiling mounted. So we'll just change that to wall mounted, right? And now you can see it covers a lot here. And now let's just show and now you can see with the signal, it's different to the omnidirectional AP signal. Instead of it being 360 degrees for the red, it's focused on this one point and goes in this one line here. And the rest of it is weaker than the red. So even if you're on a ceiling like this, it it focuses the energy on that one point. So let's show that. But alright. So let's change this to a ceiling mount, and you can see it still has pretty good coverage, even though it's pointed at the floor.
But what about your home? Do you have your AP ceiling mounted or wall mounted?
Well, most likely it's actually going to be none of those, because in most houses there's a different type that's called a desk AP, which lies on your desk. It looks sort of like this. It doesn't have anything to mount on. It just lies on your desk, and that's where it lives. Here is another example of one. It doesn't really have anywhere.
Yeah.
So even though that we saw that ceiling mounting for omnidirectional APs is good, there's actually some APs that are manufactured to
Go on your
mount on a wall. Yeah, and this is one of them that we have. Yeah. Mostly use them in hotel rooms. Let's do a recap of what we learned today.
First, we learned the different AP mounting areas. We learned that you're supposed to mount your APs on a ceiling, and it gets the most coverage. But if you put those APs on a wall, then it doesn't get enough coverage, and it could go through other walls, like above or below.
We also learned that when your AP goes 360 degrees for the signal, it's called an omnidirectional AP. And if you mount it on a ceiling, it covers that 360 degrees on your floor, on the ground, like this. But if you mount it on a wall, the 360 degrees is vertical and it goes through the floors, which is not good. We also learned that in special environments where the ceiling is very high or where there's a lot of attenuation material, we use a special type of AP called a directional AP that doesn't focus, that focuses the signal in one direction instead of the 360 degrees.
And then we also learned how you normally don't have your APs on a ceiling or a wall. You normally have them on a desk or a table. And you always have to make sure that you don't hide your APs in like a cupboard because the attenuation can make the signal worse.
Here are some of the spoilers for the next week. Look at these images and see what's wrong. Is it really that good to have a bunch of metal next to it? Or to hide it in between things? Well, find out next week. Remember to like and subscribe to Cool Wi-Fi Kids.
Yeah.